Schneider, instructor for SCS 502, and I'm going to be talking today about how to write a research paper. For many of you, this is going to be something relatively new or new in a really long time, and I wanted to make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful in understanding what my expectations are for a research paper. I'm going to go over APA format a little bit, as well as talking about research voice, and then also talking about a few additional topics about, for example, plagiarism. When it comes to the research papers, one of the most important things to do is to make sure you understand and know the rubric and the critical elements that you're going to be graded on. First, look over them before you start. Then, before you submit it to me, make sure that you check off every single critical element. Make sure that you haven't missed anything. I also suggest that you take a look at the feedback and turn it in that you'll get from me to make sure that you're not making the same APA formatting mistakes or grammar mistakes over and over again. I don't want you to lose any points that are needless. When you're writing a research paper, there's a certain way to write. Here are some of the most foundational tips that I can give you. First, try not to quote anything. This may be different than what you've experienced in the past. SNHU really emphasizes paraphrasing, using your own words, reducing your reliance on the original article. Additionally, don't use your personal pronouns. I'll give an example in a little bit where instead of saying I believe or I feel or I think, simply make the statement, remove the personal pronoun. In these research papers, there's unfortunately no space for you to share how you view things or your personal experience. Instead, it really needs to focus simply on the content of the research and less about your personal. It is also objective. We're trying to remove bias out of the research paper, which is also probably a little bit new, and you need to provide support with research. For example, if you're going to indicate that graduate students are more stressed out than undergraduate students, you need to make sure that that statement is added with support from the scientific community. Research is very formal. You're not going to use slang. I highly encourage you to write short, brief sentences. Don't try to make it sound really exciting or make it sound more complicated than it needs to be. Make it simple, make it short. Use the articles that you're reading as an example. The entire paper should be in the same tense. I highly encourage you to use the past tense, but you could also use the present tense. And here's the example of removing that personal pronoun. Instead of saying, I believe that Schneider was excellent, you simply make the comment, Dr. Schneider was excellent. The organization of the paper is really dictated by APA format. It can be really helpful to make an outline for the introduction and for the entire paper just as you start. There are a ton of SNHU resources. Take a look at the Online Writing Center. They have some wonderful videos out there now for APA formatting, for writing, for grammar. Really utilize what's out there. Use the outline to create a logical progression of the paper. Start with the purpose, build your points paragraph by paragraph, and then go back and make sure that you're hitting all the critical elements from the rubric, that you're not missing anything. Use the phrasing from the original articles. For example, if they're using non-medical use of opioids and there's a common usage of words that each paper is utilizing, go ahead and utilize it. You don't have to avoid plagiarizing that. Because you want to actually make a point and draw consistencies between all the articles. Don't try to use the thesaurus too much in trying to make those kind of changes. APA has come out with some new guidelines back in October of 2019. The Purdue University's website is up to date. You're going to have a title page for every assignment that you submit to me. You do not have to have an abstract except for in week 8. The SMILE experiment does have an abstract. And make sure that your citations are all correct. Here are some examples of how to do APA citations at the beginning of the paragraph, where you use Schneider and then parentheses in the year, and then the alternative, not necessarily being direct, or you could use researchers or authors, and then the citation at the end of the sentence. Never include the title of the journal article in your paper. Only use APA citations and references. As I mentioned before, try to avoid all quotations in your paper, but if you are going to quote, make sure that you place parentheses around, quotations around it, and indicate the page number in the parentheses. I really hope that you are taking the time to edit your paper before you submit it. Make sure that there are full sentences, no spelling mistakes. Maybe you can get a friend or family member to read the paper before you submit it. And the Online Writing Center is also a fantastic resource. You can submit your paper to them for feedback. You just have to make sure that you submit it a couple days before the due date. If you are having any trouble with getting that paper back in a timely manner, please reach out and email me. I will be happy to help. If you're having a lot of difficulty with writing and you would want some more feedback than what I provide you and turn it in, again, reach out. I'm happy to help. And I want to spend a little bit of more time on plagiarism. Every paper that you submit to turn it in evaluates or compares that paper to all the other papers that have ever been turned in. It will identify common phrasing both from the original source and from other people's papers. Really caution you against using any online resources where you can look up or view other people's papers. It will influence your writing. That will come in and be identified in Turnitin. You are more than welcome to submit your paper multiple times to Turnitin. Make sure that you just let me know so that I don't accidentally grade a paper that you're anticipating revising again. You can, when you submit it through Turnitin, simply say, this is a draft, and I will typically just take the last submitted paper before the due date. All right, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Otherwise, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.